everyone. Thank you for watching. Today we are going to explore a fascinating topic. Grammar rules are not as important as you think. In this video, I will discuss a natural development of language, how we can learn languages more effectively by not focusing on grammar rules, and practical tips for natural language learning. So let's dive in. First, the origin of language. Languages are naturally developed by people communicating with each other. They didn't start with a rule book. Instead, they used the gestures and sounds to express their needs and thoughts. Over time, these sounds and gestures became more structured, and that's how languages are born. Grammar rules were created later to formalize and standardize these languages. The purpose of grammar is to help us understand and use languages more precisely, but it's important to remember that it's not a foundation of how we initially learn to speak. Because we learn English as a study subject, we tend to focus on rules and right answers. But imagine many years ago, before grammar books existed, people were still speaking to each other to communicate effectively. Second, a real life example. The other day, I was explaining the use of articles such as an, and the to my client. She mentioned how difficult and confusing it is to master these because she didn't understand why there is an needed when we say, I caught a cold. Then my immediate response was, no, you don't need to master it. This response might seem surprising, but it's true. You don't need to master every grammar rule to communicate effectively. While it's helpful to be familiar with basic grammar, such as knowing that the subject comes before the verb, the ultimate goal is to be understood and understand others. Third, grammar as a tool, not a barrier. When learning a new language, it's important to prioritize fluency over accuracy. This means focusing on being able to communicate and express yourself even if your grammar isn't perfect. Grammar can come later to refine your skills. Think of grammar as a tool to help you improve your language skill, not as a barrier that you have to overcome before you can start speaking. Engage in conversations, listen to native speakers, and practice speaking as much as possible. This will help you internalize the language naturally. Lastly, practical tips for natural language learning. Today, I have 4 tips to share with you. Number 1, listening and mimicking. Number 2, interactive practice. Number 3, consistent exposure. And number 4, patience and persistence. The first tip is listening and mimicking. This includes listening to podcasts, watch movies, and mimic what you hear. This helps you understand the natural usage of the language and improves your pronunciation and intonation. The second tip is interactive practice. You can join language exchange groups, practice with native speakers, and don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning process and they help you improve. The third tip is consistent exposure. You can try to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. Read books, listen to music, and engage with media in English. Consistent exposure will help you pick up patterns and structures naturally. The last and most important tip is patience and persistence. Language learning takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and stay persistent. The more you practice, the better you will become. Let's wrap up. Grammar rules are created after languages are born. By focusing on natural language usage and immersing yourself in real life practice, you can learn a new language more effectively. Remember to prioritize communication and fluency and let complex grammar come later as a tool to refine your skills. Thank you for watching. Happy learning! And I'll see you at the next video. Bye bye!